On Jamaica House Weekly, Prime Minister urges public sector workers to stick with government's economic reform program. Read Across Jamaica Day 2015 is a success, and the Prime Minister welcomes U.S. medical ship to the island.
I ask the workers of Jamaica to remain engaged with the government, as together we seek to increase the size of the workforce and create greater social and economic opportunities for all our people.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller appealing to public sector workers to stay the course of the Economic Reform Program ERP. She was speaking during last Monday's launch of National Workers' Week activities. Workers' Week 2015 will run from May 17 to 23 with a focus on workplace safety and health. And last Monday, the Prime Minister also launched National Labour Day activities, which is to be observed on March 25. This year's theme is Labour of Love, Nurturing Our Children, with special emphasis on creating child-friendly spaces in communities across the island. Prime Minister Simpson Miller used the occasion to call for greater care and protection of the nation's children.
Any law that we can bring that will ensure parents will think twice to hurt a child, we are to do it.
By Tuesday, the Prime Minister was at the Jamaica House Basic School for Read Across Jamaica Day.
The sea so calm, the air so fresh, the sun so warm. He cast the net and sang a song.
Mrs. Simpson Miller also lauded Jamaican authors for their work in bringing quality books to the nation's children. Last Wednesday, the Office of the Prime Minister said Jamaica was making representation to help resolve the intellectual property rights issue that will force local cable operators to stop broadcasting unlicensed content. The Broadcasting Commission recently gave local cable operators until May 31 to stop showing 19 cable channels for which they do not have a license. It's the first phase of a wider compliance enforcement to address a longer list of channels and content for which local operators either have not been able to or unwilling to secure transmission rights. In a statement, the OPM said the matter was a trade issue and government was engaged in bilateral discussions with the U.S. and Caribbean trade representatives to resolve it. There is also a proposal for a meeting to be held as soon as possible between United States rights holders and regional cable operators. In the meantime, the OPM has clarified that the regulatory action was not prompted by discussions during the recent visit of U.S. President Barack Obama and is not the result of an escalation in a trade issue internationally. On Thursday, Mrs. Simpson Miller launched the Local Economic Development Support Program in Ochiria, St. Anne. She said priority focus would be given to the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises in communities across the country. The Local Economic Development Support Program is being undertaken by the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development through the Social Development Commission. Under the program, community members are being provided with training, business plan development and networking to start or expand their operations. And Mrs. Simpson Miller also made her presence felt at Europe Day celebrations Thursday evening. The Prime Minister was joined by Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Senator A.J. Nicholson, who brought greetings on the government's behalf.
The government of Jamaica warmly congratulates the European Union on creating an area of freedom, security and justice without internal frontiers and establishing an internal market and economic and monetary union.
Jamaica and Europe are celebrating 40 years of partnership in 2015, with the island receiving 1.2 billion euros in development assistance. The information portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister was also engaged this past week. At Wednesday's Jamaica House press briefing, Senator Sandria Faulkner said the Cabinet had approved the issuing of drafting instructions for the reform of the Criminal Justice Plea Negotiations and Agreements Act 2005. Senator Faulkner said only 10 agreements had gone before the courts since the amendments to the Act were made in 2010.
The latest reform measures proposed include designation of plea judges in both the Supreme and Resident Magistrates Courts, post-sentencing plea negotiations where a prisoner who is serving a term wishes to assist the prosecution and in doing so may have his or her sentence reduced.
And Senator Faulkner also announced Cabinet's approval of board appointments for 3-year terms. They are the Institute of Jamaica, the Cannabis Licensing Authority, the PIOJ, and the Students' Loan Bureau. And the Prime Minister also took some time to welcome a delegation from the United States naval ship Comfort. The hospital ship is docked here to give needy Jamaicans free medical services, conduct professional medical exchanges, and engage in community outreach projects at schools across the island. Personnel from the ship are providing medical services at the National Arena Complex and the Maxfield Park Health Center between May 6 and 13, starting at 8:30 each morning. And that's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. Join us next time for the latest stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.